December 14th, 1912. The temperature is minus 30 degrees, and howling winds are tearing across the Antarctic ice. Explorer Douglas Mawson and his two companions are 500 kilometers from their base, pulling heavy sleds full of supplies to map a blank, hostile wilderness. Suddenly, Mawson hears a sound behind him. He turns around, and his partner, Ninnis, is gone. The solid ground they trusted had simply opened up. Ninnis, his dogs, and their vital supply sled had been swallowed by a hidden crevasse, plunging into a freezing, pitch-black abyss, hundreds of feet deep. With their food gone, survival became nearly impossible. Desperate, the two remaining men resorted to eating their weakest dogs to avoid starvation. But they didn't know that a dog's liver contains toxic levels of vitamin A. The resulting poisoning caused Mawson's other companion to lose his mind, and shortly after, he died on the ice. Mawson was now completely alone. For the next 160 kilometers, he forced himself forward. The physical toll was so severe that the skin on the soles of his feet completely peeled off. He simply taped his dead skin back onto his feet, put his boots on, and kept walking until he finally reached his base. Antarctica is a deceptive killer. It is a world that destroys human bodies and swallows expeditions whole. Despite the extreme risks, 3 global powers decided the secrets buried at the bottom were worth billions of dollars and decades of effort. This satellite view shows the immense flat scale of the entire continent. But in the 1960s, scientists began flying specialized ground-penetrating radar over the ice, and the data revealed a different reality. Hidden beneath miles of ice are mountain ranges massive enough to rival the Himalayas, and canyons deeper than anything found in North America. The radar also caught strange, smooth reflections. It took decades of satellite and earthquake data to confirm it, but buried 4 kilometers beneath the surface are over 400 secret lakes of liquid water. Despite the extreme cold, immense pressure from the ice above, and geothermal heat radiating from the bedrock below keep this water from freezing. These subglacial lakes have been locked in total darkness, isolated from the sun and our atmosphere for 15 million years. Because this water exists in a state of absolute stasis, high pressure, zero light, and completely cut off from the global food chain, biologists realized that any organisms living here would have adapted to conditions found nowhere else on Earth. But studying these waters presented a massive technical conflict. The only way to see what lives inside is to drill through the ice, but the very act of breaking the seal risks introducing surface microbes that could wipe out the entire ecosystem before it is even recorded. In the 1990s, Russian scientists targeted Lake Fustok, the largest and deepest of the subterranean lakes. Reaching it required boring a massive drill shaft straight down through 4 kilometers of solid ice. To prevent a hole of that size from freezing shut as they worked, the Russian team used a blunt chemical solution. They pumped 60 tons of toxic jet fuel, a mixture of kerosene and freon, directly into the drill shaft to keep the ice melted. Despite protests from scientists begging them to stop, Russia pushed the drill through the final layer of ice in 2012. Because the ancient lake was under immense pressure, the water violently erupted upwards, shooting 30 to 40 meters up the shaft and instantly mixing with the toxic jet fuel. The team initially celebrated. They took samples from the blowout and claimed they had discovered a brand new bacteria. But laboratory tests quickly confirmed the truth. The bacteria was already living in their own kerosene. Their samples were utterly contaminated. Russia spent decades of labor, millions of dollars, and deployed massive machinery only to pollute the exact ecosystem they were trying to study because they refused to abandon a sloppy methodology. The British team spent 16 years and $12 million designing a cleaner approach for Lake Ellsworth. Instead of toxic chemicals, they built a system to drill using highly filtered, sterile hot water, ensuring zero biological contamination. Their plan relied on complex physics. They would melt 2 separate vertical shafts down into the ice. At exactly 300 meters below the surface, they needed to melt a horizontal pocket to connect the 2 shafts, creating a continuous loop to circulate the hot water. By Christmas Eve 2012, both shafts were complete, but deep underground, the connection missed by a mere 2 meters. For 40 straight hours, the team desperately tried to melt through that final gap. But in doing so, they burned through their entire supply of drilling fuel. They had to abandon the entire 16-year mission on the spot. Against the brutal physics of Antarctica, a logistical master plan was entirely defeated by a microscopic margin of error. The final competitor was the United States, with Project Wizard. Targeting the shallower Lake Whillans, the team applied the same contamination standards used by NASA for interplanetary probes. They employed rigorous sterilization protocols. Every single piece of equipment was scrubbed with hydrogen peroxide, sealed in specialized bags, and blasted with ultraviolet light. Even the drilling water was forced through multiple filtration stages to remove any trace of surface biology. On December 21, 2013, the American team succeeded where the others failed. Their perfectly clean drill successfully breached the icy ceiling of the subterranean lake, extracting a pristine water sample without introducing a single speck of dirt. By respecting the immense fragility of the hidden ecosystem and mastering absolute environmental sterility, the U.S. team won a geopolitical race that had stretched across decades. When researchers finally placed that pure water sample under a microscope, they found a thriving, living ecosystem. Archaea and bacteria were successfully surviving in sub-zero water, cut off entirely from the rest of the world. Without sunlight to provide energy, these organisms had adapted an entirely different survival mechanism. They were consuming methane gas seeping directly out of the bedrock. Genetic testing revealed that some of these evolutionary lines were ancient, predating the dinosaurs. This discovery expands the possibilities of astrobiology. If life can thrive beneath miles of freezing ice by eating gas in the dark, it proves biological organisms can exist under the thick ice shells of alien worlds, like Jupiter's moon, Europa. This success directly informs NASA's current planning for the outer solar system. The sterilization and drilling protocols used in Antarctica are being adapted for future probes destined for the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The long race to the bottom of Antarctica was humanity's first successful rehearsal for finding extraterrestrial life. And considering they found ancient, thriving biology in the very first lake they cleanly sampled, it makes you wonder what is waiting in the other 399 subglacial lakes left completely untouched beneath the ice.